If you're tired all the time, your balance feels off, or stress just won't let go, your nervous system is trying to tell you something. The good news, there are simple practices that you can start today. The important body systems that actually help to coordinate and control body activity are the nervous system, which is like the electrical controlling system of the body, and the endocrine system, which is the glands and the hormones. So that's like the chemical controlling system. So the nervous system is divided into somatic division for voluntary body movement and autonomic, which I like to think of as automatic, because it controls all of those systems that we don't think about, keeping our heart beating and remembering to breathe and digest our food and so forth. Well, this automatic system is divided into the sympathetic division for freaking out and reacting to emergency situations, or maybe not emergencies, but something that's stressful. I always remembered that because you think, have sympathy for someone who's stressed out. So that's how I learned it when I was learning the nervous system. The other division of the automatic nervous system is the parasympathetic, and this is your rest and recovery system. And so let's look at the different practices we can do to impact these systems and help make our nervous system more efficient. One of the studies that they showed was the impact of breath work. Breath work, there's different options, but they all involve some kind of mindful, intentional breathing practice. We're going to look at a couple of them. The first one is box breathing, so called because there's 4 phases, so you could visualize it like a box. So we're going to, the first side of the box, inhale slowly for a count of 4. Hold the breath for a count of 4. And then exhale slowly to a count of 4 and hold the breath out for a count of 4. So this is, you can see how there's a box with that. So we have the box breathing as one of the breathwork options. The next one, they call it physiological sighing. So that's going to be 2 inhales followed by prolonged exhalation. So that's the physiological sigh. And finally, we have the 4, 7, 8 option. So you're going to inhale to the count of 4, hold for a count of 7, and then slowly exhale for a count of 8. This is similar to box breathing, but we only have 3 phases instead of the 4, and they're not evenly divided. So there's research studies about breath work, and they show improvement in nervous system regulation, lowered levels of the stress hormone cortisol, and improved heart rate variability. Heart rate variability just means the slight changes in heart activity. Healthy hearts have constant little adjustments in rhythm because they have to adjust to make sure that we're continuing to deliver oxygen in spite of changes in activity and position. So a healthy heart's going to show little changes, and we measure that, the heart rate variability. The autonomic or automatic nervous system controls this. Higher level of heart rate variability indicates well-recovered, stress-resilient body. Lower levels of heart rate variability point to stress and fatigue. So we have other studies showing improvement in parasympathetic activation. There are some studies. I'm going to go ahead and paste them in the description so you can look at those. Another study looked at the effects of pain relief with some of these mindfulness practices. One of the studies that I'm linking actually talked about the release of chemicals and signaling molecules in the body when you're doing specific meditative practices and how it actually helped to manage pain. Specifically, they were looking at chronic low back pain, and so there were positive impacts from the mindfulness practices. Somatic movement is another tool in the arsenal. There are different types of somatic movement: yoga, yoga nidra, which is another type of yoga practice, Pilates, Tai Chi. Those are examples of somatic movement. I love yoga. There's lots of different types. As I mentioned, there's more power and intense exercise type yoga. So that would be like Ashtanga or Hatha yoga. Vinyasa also has some intense practices. Then there's more meditative type of yoga practices like yoga nidra. Pilates is another great somatic movement practice, helps to build strength and balance. And there's different types of Pilates classes. Some of them use certain types of equipment, so you can pick whichever one, and there's different levels. That's another option. Tai Chi is great for focus and coordination, and there's different types of Tai Chi practice as well. All of these somatic movement activities involved controlled movement and mental discipline. Chiropractic adjustments help improve the efficiency of communication between the nervous system and the body. And some of the indicators we look at when patients come into the office to help us determine whether an adjustment is needed or what kind of adjustment, we look at posture imbalances, muscle strength, reflexes. Sometimes there's even instrumentation to scan and detect misalignments. So by performing these different adjustments, we improve proprioception, which is really just a fancy way of saying how the brain is talking to the body and making sure that the brain knows where the body parts are in space. Because if you have incorrect information coming from the body to the brain, that's not going to make for efficient muscle activity and general activities of daily living. So we make sure with the adjustments that the nervous system and the body are communicating appropriately. There's lots of different ways to adjust. In my office, I specialize in low force adjusting. I see a lot of people that are really anxious about the more common types of chiropractic adjustment. I use instrument adjusting sometimes. I also use wedge-shaped blocks. I adjust also extremities, wrists, knees, foot and ankle, shoulders, and so forth. So those are great for any kind of complaints involving the extremities. Improving communication between the body and the nervous system helps to greatly reduce risk of injury. Remember I said proprioception is how the brain knows where all of the body parts are in space. So that means that we can be more efficient with movement. That's very important for athletes, both for improving athletic performance, but also reducing the risk of injuries. Lots of professional athletes have chiropractors that they work with regularly just as part of their training regimen. And they also use these various neuro wellness practices to improve their performance. This is another thing that is very important for older individuals. One of the things that people worry about as they get older is balance. And so you see a lot of older individuals who may be concerned about engaging in exercise, physical activity, because of the increased risk of fall. And so these practices help to improve balance and coordination and enable people to exercise so that they can feel better and be healthier. I've actually put together a class involving breath work and meditative practice, and I'm going to go ahead and put a link so you can check that out. Make sure you mention in the comments any topics that you would like to see in future videos, and be sure to like and subscribe, so I'll see you in the next video.